All right, all right. We're here. I love to be able to start sometimes right after that fantastic music that we have, the
Isn't that
new
great?
intro that they put together for us. And that's a beautiful
Oh
intro.
gosh, yes, I love that music.
I
You
do.
can't
I
you
do.
can't not move, and that's
Move
you
and
know
groove.
one of those things
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
do with
What's
your
that?
partner. One of those things you do when you feel good about yourself. You just have that need or that desire or that feeling to
Oh,
dance.
shoot. You know what? I forgot to do the thing that I've did before. You know what that was?
No.
While they were doing the countdown, I forgot to do the job because it's my job, not our engineering job, to actually go through the process of putting up the link to everybody to be watching the show. So we need to have people go and share, right, Sharon?
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming our in good engineer has already put up our name and said something about our show, or if not, Sharon, maybe you should start. Tell them who we are.
We are taking the journey together.
Mm-hmm.
You are Craig, I am Sharon, and we are talking about self love today. This is part three. We'll probably finish it up today.
You think when finish? Do you think self love, that thing that has to do with loving yourself, with that kind of what we call spiritual care,
Yes.
is something that could ever end? Should ever end in a relationship?
It should not,
Okay.
because that's going to be one of the stepping stones. It's kind of like the thing that you can always fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying, honey, I'm not feeling it today, then
Mm-hmm.
it's up to the other person to step up and say, well, I'm gonna feel it for both of us until you
Okay.
get back at it.
Driving force should be a
Driving
driving
force,
force.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so, it's like healing each other when that time is right. And if you're not feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
um let me heal you.
Okay,
Let me
going. Oh,
oh yeah. See?
oh, like that. I'm getting healed now. Oh, folks. Hey, watch it. This is a PG show,
No, it
so
isn't.
you can't do that.
No, it
You
isn't.
can't do that.
No.
Only
It's
young
grown
adults are
folks.
watching this, so
It's
we can't
grown
do.
folks.
Oh, okay.
No.
I got you, dude. So, all right, cool. Hey, hey, people are already coming in. We're glad to see you coming in. Hey, for another two people coming in, here's what I'll do for you. For the other two people coming, I'll give her a kiss. One person come in, one more, I will actually kiss her right here live on this show, taking the journey together.
Come on in. Come on.
In
Come on.
in the meantime, why don't you tell us what our motto is for taking the journey?
We are going to relate. It doesn't
Yes.
matter what a mother, father, sister, brother says.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to relate. But at
Mm-hmm.
taking the journey together, we uh, like for people to teach people how to relate in a balanced way. And when
Balanced
we
way.
say balance,
Mm-hmm.
we mean uh, having that friendship and that lovership coming from the same person,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't have to decide who you're going to marry, your friend or your lover,
Mm-hmm.
because you'll have friendship as the basis of the relationship that you're building on for a lifetime.
I'm still waiting for two love or two people coming on watching this. So
Me
this
too.
lady and me, I guess, couldn't give each other. Oh, we got kiss. Oh, hey, there you go. We got one.
We got
Thank
it.
you very much. Thank you, Mary. Hey, what's our topic this time? Still going on. What are we talking
Self
about?
love.
Self love.
Self love.
All right.
And today we're going to talk about some different ways in which we can do that. We have talked about, some of the spiritual self-care and everything, but it's also about self-help.
It's also about self-help. I want to try to get real quickly this for our hopefully people who will want to come in, talk a little bit about those who want to become part of taking the journey in their own way when they're out and around. What could they be? Uh-oh.
So yours is down too low.
Oh, mine's on the wrong way, the wrong side, but go ahead.
But
it's right here.
We have hot buttons. If you are hot in your relationship, you gotta have a hot button.
Look what it says at the bottom, sir.
It says hot, taking the journey together. And if you were with us during our first few weeks on,
show them another picture too. That's what it looks like.
There we go. There we go. You might want to
do what? Oh, okay. Hold on.
Topic down.
Hold on. I cursed my.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. So that's what it looks like, and you wear it. We were
proudly.
at a restaurant the other day, and the person that was checking us out was asking us questions about it, and it was and that's what it's for. It's to start conversations. But if you were with us at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
then you know what hot means. So if you say to somebody, "Are you hot in your relationship?" and they don't give you the right answer, then you can say, "Well, you need to tune in to taking the journey together, because then you'll find out what hot is."
And
And
what is hot?
hot is honest, open, and
And
transparent.
transparent.
Are you
Yes.
honest, open, and transparent in your
And
relationship?
did you notice that was a young guy who asked this?
Yes.
He said, "Oh, is this about religion?" I said, "No." He said, "Is this about you happen to be married and that's about it?" I said, "No.
Yeah.
It's a relationship. This is what you should, take a look at your basic in relationship." So we gave him what hot meant, which is what?
Honest, open, and transparent.
Honest, open, and transparent. And his eyes lit up and said, "I like that. I like that. I'm going to watch your show. And at the same time, that's something I think I'm going to try to apply in my relationship with my girlfriend." Remember that?
Yes, I
That was
do.
really nice. It was a
Yeah.
young guy. I didn't think a young guy would even be concerned about that, which is probably me not thinking right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But
it was very
that's
good.
also the people who need to be a part of this and understand what hot is, because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that you can get from that is the idea of starting fresh, starting young, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding what it takes to get your relationship, off to a good start. The idea is, if you get your relationship off to a good start, then the chances or the likelihood of it lasting and surviving
Mm-hmm.
to the point of thriving by the time you're ready to really commit for the long haul,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a good leg up, I guess they say.
Okay. Or a
That's
leg down. It all depends upon if your leg is up or down.
exactly. But you'll have a, I don't know.
But as good looking as your legs are, I love watching them whether they're up or down or moving forward. Oh, okay. Okay. I just want to say, listen, I've thought about something over this topic before we go into it.
Yes.
I was listening to Will Smith, who's got a new book out that's talking about his relationship with
Hmm. Jada.
Jada, and he had a little affair going on. Well, she had an affair going on. If he did, they didn't talk about it, but the affair that he had going on in that Red Table Talk when
Yes.
they got very real, and he had some tears in his eyes. But I was listening to him when he was talking to Oprah about that relationship thing.
Uh-huh.
And there's one thing he said that I thought was, you looking at me? Am I not looking
No,
right or
you're
something?
fine. You're
Okay,
fine.
well, you make me nervous.
I'm just
You're not alluring at me.
okay.
Okay, I can't
I
tell.
will I will look ahead,
No,
but I'd
no,
rather look at
that's
you.
okay. And he said to her, Oprah, you cannot make anybody in your relationship happy. You cannot make anybody in your relationship happy. You have to make yourself happy, and then she has to make herself happy. And then we can both come together and create those things to make each other happy.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought, all righty now. All righty now. What did you think about that little statement and the fact that we're talking about self-love, what
Mhm.
we're referring to as for like a penny or like any kind of coin? There's two sides,
Yes.
and the sides we're talking about is more about that feeling, that necessary knowing
Hmm.
purpose and who you are from the inside,
Right.
not necessarily how you look, not necessarily how well you exercise or how well your clothes look. We're talking
Hmm.
about the inside
Yes.
self love.
Yes.
What do you think he was talking about in that area? Because I'm assuming, let's put it like this: what kind of happiness was talking about that you need to gain for yourself before you can help someone else in your relationship be happy?
I think one of the things that come to my mind when I hear that and when you ask that question is
Mm-hmm.
something that I have heard before.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a cliche, but it's not really.
Mm-hmm.
Where the understanding is, or the saying is, you have to be comfortable in the skin you're in.
Okay.
And it doesn't have anything to do with your complexion, your melanin, or anything like that. It means that the spirit within that skin,
Mm-hmm.
from the inside, you have to be comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things that we struggle with a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
when we don't know. And I'm speaking from me.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the point that that you kind of lose yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and people want to blame somebody else for them losing themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but it's you not coming to terms with the growth that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's hard. And so I agree with him on that,
Mm-hmm.
because if I am not comfortable with me, if I am not following my path, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing, it is going to bug me terribly.
Well, that would be that area that a lot of people don't know about, but maybe they should if they have a good conscious, healthy
Mhm.
conscious. They're not very, self-centered. What's the other
Yeah,
word?
self-aware,
No,
self
if you're very self-centered, that's another word.
narcissistic.
Narcissistic is the word I was trying to
Yeah,
say. But
narcissistic.
anyway, which is regret.
Hmm.
Regret. I mean, regret, we hide regret, but regret does exist.
Absolutely.
And regret could be that side that you're talking about when you're
Hmm.
not really dealing with
Yeah,
yourself, but you're more
yeah.
concerned about that other particular person. You
Hmm.
regret inside about, well, I'm not really feeling good about myself in
Hmm.
the relationship.
Yeah.
So let's give a question out there, and could you please go ahead to those who are watching, because I know you're watching right now. We can get your hits. We can see right in there, by the way. What do you think about this statement Will Smith said about you cannot make someone happy? Now he said this after that outside I forgot what they called it. They didn't call it an affair. They used another word I can't remember that Jada Pickett had. So what would you say? What are some of your feelings, those who are listening? There's no right or
Or
right
thoughts.
answers to our thoughts or feelings about
Hmm.
what do you feel about that statement that you can't make someone else happy?
And and while we're waiting for them to go ahead and comment,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think about the time when I first went to college.
Mm-hmm.
I went to college to major in something that I was only somewhat interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and got the degree in the whole 9 yards, and found myself so unhappy
Okay.
that I was looking for reasons not to actually get a job
Mm.
in that field.
Okay.
Um, and until and I had moments of
Mm-hmm.
happiness,
Mm-hmm.
but as long as that was sitting there, kind of held over my head,
Mm-hmm.
that okay, you got this degree, now you got to use it. You really need to use it. What are you going to
Mm.
do? How are you going to use it? It made me miserable
Mm-hmm.
having that feeling there. And no matter what else was going on, I pretended to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I pretended to be excited. I pretended,
Mm-hmm.
that everything was all right. But deep inside,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the biggest birthday party ever did not make me happy,
Okay.
you know, because everything was in turmoil inside. And that's why we have to get our um uh, get in connection with
Get
our
that
in.
priority straight when it comes
Exactly.
to what really is the direction, the
Hmm.
way, or the path
Yes.
to really feel good about ourselves. Because
Hmm.
I think his statement, we haven't got anyone saying this yet. Probably most people are listening. That's fine. Maybe later on, bring up what you feel, what he says, and what you think about what he says. But on that same side, um, a lot of times when we are not really necessarily believing in that, because it's usually a conclusion statement,
Hmm.
that's because we're going out of the way to try to make someone else happy. Most of the
Exactly.
time in a relationship, we're diligently, we're going out of our way. Sometimes some of us guys are desperately going out of our way, especially if it's a good looking lady
Hmm.
and we really want to click with her, or she's clicking with us, and so we think. We'll really go out of our way just to try to prove to her, I'm good enough. I can make you happy, and all the other kind of cultural conditioning things.
Yeah.
And many a times when that happens, I think that's what Will Smith was talking about, is that I will use the easy route. I call it the easy route, folks out
Hmm.
there. Some of us men do this a lot. I'll try to buy her love.
Yeah.
If I can buy her love, which would make her happy. I mean, I get a ring on her finger. I get her some a new dress,
A
some new
car and
shoes,
all
or a
this stuff.
car or a house, and she's smiling, she's feeling good. She may give me some good loving that night, and all that stuff, and she's happy as can be. And then a couple of days after, I got to buy the same things again
Yeah.
because she ain't
And,
really that happy with
and
that. So, I mean, yeah, that's just an example.
and the other side with that
Mm-hmm.
is if you are happy with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
if things are good with you, but
Mm-hmm.
you're in a relationship with somebody who is not happy with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
while you're trying to make them happy, they're making you miserable
That's true.
because they're not feeling good about themselves, and that trickles down and it spills over. So where the other week we were talking about, you
Mm-hmm.
know, filling that cup with love. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you fill that cup with misery, it's going to spill over too.
Yeah.
So you have to be cognizant of what you want to share.
Yeah.
What you want to pour out of yourself into the person that you claim you love.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that opposite side of the coin, I'm talking about a relationship,
Mhm.
that other person who may be not saying no to all the things that you're buying
Mhm.
and giving to them,
Yeah.
they may not be purposely being a gold digger, as some
Yeah.
people say. They may be unconsciously taking upon it and not saying no because it's making them feel good. And they like the fact that you're making them feel good because their self love is only about when someone else what
Yeah.
makes them feel good.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes we accept things because we don't know how to say I don't want it, because we're
Mm-hmm.
afraid that we're going to hurt somebody's feelings, or hurt that other person's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a catch-22 situation, but
Yeah.
in that case, when you're not happy and comfortable with yourself
Mm-hmm.
inside, what ends up happening is you're not hot. And so you don't know, you're not giving the right message.
Yeah.
You're
The
not
question's
giving.
still out there. What do you think about Will Smith's statement that you cannot make someone else happy? Happy. Of course, he was probably talking about Jada Pickett. She can't make him happy. I'm assuming that's what he was talking about. But go ahead.
Or vice versa.
Vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's one of those things that you just really have to. The bottom line is you have to get yourself right if you're going to be in a relationship,
Well, we live, as you know,
or at least a thriving
we,
one.
we live in a society, in a world that outside stimulus is what we use as the very thing to say what is important or not,
Mm-hmm.
what is functional to me or not, or what tantalizes my senses or
Mm-hmm.
not. Okay.
Yes.
And with those areas, if none of them exist in those areas or not brought to attention, then of course we're not going to say, well, it's really affected me.
Yeah.
And when it does, then I'm going to pay more attention to if it's affected me in a loving way that makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that, all about me.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have it now.
Yes.
Microwave
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Yes.
generation that we're in. And our relationships, it's bleeding just that hard into our
Right.
relationship. And it's no wonder why relationships are not lasting long. They're not staying around
Mm-hmm.
long because once that person, I bleed them and take them from all I can get from them because it's making me feel happy, but they don't got
They
much to give
and they
back
have
anymore.
nothing left.
Exactly. I,
Yeah.
I got I got to bounce. I got to go. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't need to be here no more.
Yes.
From that end, yeah.
Yeah. And relationships are give and take.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is
Mm-hmm.
you got to find a way to put that love into yourself.
Otherwise, you have not much to give in the long run.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
will get worn out. Someone will
Mhm.
take it. And on that other side too, you also will find that other person, many times they don't have that much love for themselves either.
Right.
If they're taking all the time for you, it's because you are placing in them that missing piece
Mm-hmm.
of feeling
Yes.
love about
Mm-hmm.
themselves that they can create for their own self. And they're using you to do that. A lot of times people call that codependent.
Yeah.
You ever heard that before?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
and it's not real. It's not lasting. It's not sustaining.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because um it's manufactured. It's kind of like um I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to um fix me something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to put on this feast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put all this food out and I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. And it's it's making me feel good for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm so full that I'm not feeling good anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it is when you're when you're stuffing somebody else to try to make them feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes that builds animosity because you start getting those parasites talking to you
Mm-hmm.
and saying, you know, you just,
You,
you're doing,
hold on. So hold on. You said parasites.
yes,
Where? In your mind?
yes.
Hold on. Are you telling me you got bats in your belfry? No,
No,
no. Okay, folks, I ain't doing it
no,
to.
I don't
Okay,
have bats
bats
in
in your
my belfry today. I got rid of them.
you're just referring to those negative thoughts,
Exactly, the
those
negative
thoughts that
thoughts.
are kind of like you've
Hmm.
seen those cartoons. You got the angel here and the devil. Maybe it's opposite ring,
What?
and they're
Yeah.
talking to you in your ear. All of a sudden
Yes.
got those thoughts
Yes.
and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so those parasites
Mm-hmm.
start giving you these negative statements and things,
Mm-hmm.
and the next thing you're looking at, okay, now what? and
Exactly.
and you're looking at your partner, and although they're trying to give you all these things to help you feel better,
Mm-hmm.
all you can say is, it's not me, it's you.
It's not a me.
Why
It's a
why
you. It's a you.
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. Why are you trying to do all these things? Are you just trying to make yourself feel good and blah 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 blah? No, I'm trying to make you feel good. No, you're just putting that
Can,
off on me. You know what I'm saying? It's that
can you
spiraling.
imagine the load that comes from males? Where like when I was young, even though I grew up in a single parent family and my father was around, I had enough role models, good or bad,
Hmm.
movie, TV, community, or the hood that I grew up in, that the perception was strongly through those role models that the male's supposed to run the show. The male's supposed to make this happen. If the male ain't making this happen, friend with you or not, then it ain't happening or something ain't wrong
Hmm.
about this relationship.
Hmm.
When you look at the self-love that we're talking about from the inside thing, okay,
Hmm.
you can see there's a setup for this get up. Ooh, I said it again.
Hey.
A setup for this get up. The setup in this case is I'm going to always be about putting out
Hmm.
and I'm not going to get much back in return.
Right.
Now, if you're doing any kind of investigation, no, excuse me, investment in anything in life,
Hmm.
especially if it's important, that ain't the best investment.
No, it
When
isn't.
you're always putting out, but you're not getting anything back.
No return for your investment.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we obviously are not talking about it from a material thing
Hmm.
because you can't buy love, though many times men, hold on, I said it before, men will run down that pipeline because they will buy as much as they can, having in the back of their mind,
Hmm.
I'm gonna get her to love me and be loyal to me one way or the other.
Yeah.
And many of them, of course, get burned out at the
Hmm.
end, go into alcoholism, go into drugs, or they skip her and find someone else and start the
Yeah.
cycle again because they're missing inside
Hmm.
that love and care that they need to have for their own self. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And women will do it too. And I think I mentioned it last week
Mm-hmm.
on either this show or the WRUU show,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of times women, having that lack of love,
Mm-hmm.
will have children still looking to supply that love that they're not feeling inside. you know
Mm.
the problem is, if you don't have the love inside, even for even with your child, you're going to have difficulty with that, because you're not going to have what is you don't have enough in you to give out to get it in
Hold
return.
on. You talk about that talk I've had before with some Afro American males and some brothers who talk about how the girlfriends or their woman is who has kids, that their sons act more like their boyfriends than
No.
them. But
Yeah.
I know that's not what you're saying now that you're saying that,
Mhm.
but that does happen
Yeah.
where any delegation of authority from that new man gets totally cut off because you ain't his father in the first place.
Mhm.
And of course, the father's deadbeat ain't doing nothing with that son in the first place. Okay, so that didn't make no sense. But even if he was, there's still that cutoff of you have no right to say anything to my son or my kids whatsoever. And what I have heard, I've seen my own self because I've dated
Mhm.
a couple of sisters in my time who have kids, women in my life have kids, where that woman feels like you got no right to say anything
Mhm.
to my children whatsoever. You may
Yeah.
say some things to me, but you don't have that right from that end. And therefore you get that same kind of
Right.
situation
Right.
that you just got through coming up.
Mhm.
That I'm just saying on another on another angle. How's that?
Right. right. But part of what you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
as far as where the the son seems more like,
Mm-hmm.
you know uh a, a a brother, a comrade, a
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. That is a societal fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because there's a lot of pressure put on the young male who is the oldest in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You're the man of the house now.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. You're still a child.
Mm-hmm.
Let the
You're the
child
man.
grow up.
That's what she used to say. You're the
Exactly.
man.
Yeah, let the child grow up and then become a man in his own home.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure you don't mix apples and oranges. In other words, this is a 10-year-old who needs to be out playing games, or doing whatever, hanging out with his friends or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and instead he's feeling like he's supposed to make decisions and keep an eye on everything and hold
Mm-hmm.
things together, and all
Like the
that's doing
boyfriend
or the
or
husband.
the husband.
And
Yeah.
all that's doing is burning him out before he even gets an opportunity to do that. And what does that instill in him? A lack of
It
self-love,
is.
because he is destined to fail in that.
And also too, my example I gave without getting any names, the young male wasn't 10. He was a teenager, but he acted like it was 10. And his heartbroken heart of missing his dad, who was a deadbeat dad, he carried with him.
Yeah.
So he looked upon me as being another black male,
Hmm.
and therefore no different than my deadbeat dad, and was only here just to get what he can out of my mom and nothing else. And so whenever I would try to speak some wisdom to him and look up to him and all that good stuff to help him out, there'll be a lot of rejection. It was very hard at the beginning. Later on, where he saw that I was pretty serious about it, there was a little bit more submission to the whole thing, that this guy was real, this brother was real.
Hmm.
But you could tell many a time, still in between that time, because of the mom still looked at him as being, as you just got there saying, the right guy,
The man
okay,
of the
the man
house.
in the house. Then it will be two steps forward, one step backwards.
Yeah.
And it happened all the time. And I remember one time when I took him out to McDonald's to eat all the, because she had more than just one. I think she had about 5 kids at that time. And I started to talk to him about his dad, and he wouldn't want to talk to him about it, but I got a little bit open to him about talking about his dad, because I told him I really wanted to be his friend. No, I
Hmm.
can't be his dad, but I'm here to try to help you out with whatever problems you are. It's kind of hard sometimes to talk to young males, especially African American males, with a 16 and 17. I mean, it's real tough the way the world is. It's probably pretty tough for me because I didn't have a father around too. But I do remember I finally got him to open up to me about his father and how he missed him. He don't know why his father left. He don't know why his father doesn't say anything to him anymore. And he began to actually go into tears and open up and open up and weep with me outside the McDonald's.
Hmm.
And so I basically, gave him a hug and told him, man, it's all right. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And it's not your fault. That was a decision that he made. It's not a decision that you have to live with. Now, what I saw talking, what we're talking about, I saw that already in him, there was a missing piece of love for himself,
Hmm.
because his father, who could have been there to be that example of love of another male,
Yeah.
which would give him an example of how he could be loving to his own self. That's right, people
Hmm.
can be this way for you. Representation of
Hmm.
love for you, for how they love themselves and their actions and words. He was feeling that missing piece of him
Yeah.
within him, because that reflection wasn't there. And it was hurting him, not only for himself, but it was hurting him to be able to then be open to receive the kind of love that I was trying to show to him, outside of the fact his mom was putting that pressure on him
Yeah.
at the same time too. So that's that residual, excuse me, that's that cycle that happens over and over again,
Yeah.
especially in our community.
Yeah.
When it comes to that lack of the kind of love we're talking about on the inside, not just the
Hmm.
outside. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, in a situation like that, you also have other things that are playing into that. And one of
Mm-hmm.
those things is the fact that when a father or a parent drops out of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and I see it all the time
Mm-hmm.
in students at school and all,
Mm-hmm.
when
She's
when
a she's an English teacher, by the way, so
when
that's why she got some kind of I know that qualification. Go ahead, but
so when a parent drops out of a child's life, they inadvertently, regardless of what is said and what is done, look at themselves as being the reason.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing is, I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't good enough. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. It becomes, a self-centered, self-focused situation in the negative.
Yes.
And so if you're starting to have those feelings on yourself of yourself when you're, 9, 10, 13, 14, what's going to end up happening is you are going to start disliking yourself. You no longer have that love for
Mm-hmm.
yourself that you
Mm-hmm.
did at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Even before you knew that that was self-love,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have this self dislike or
Exactly.
self hate.
And you then fall into a principle that we call a reaping and sowing principle.
Yeah.
I call it a principle that moves you into a prophetic way of life.
Mhm.
That so I told you so.
Yeah.
So you plant a seed because you feel yourself not being a loving being that
Mhm.
deserves to be on earth or deserves to be with a good relationship,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. That seed then because so as you thinketh, so it will be.
Yeah.
And you can see that repetitive cycle
Mhm.
when they move out in life, pick people to be the same kind of way that reflects
Right.
back on them, because inside they have that missing piece, that self-love that we're talking about. On the other side of the coin, they could look good, they can dress good, they can make love good, they can make money good, but inside they're not being too loving to themselves.
Right.
And you could tell because most of the time they're eating off of your energy to make themselves feel good because of what you do. We got a question here. I think it's a question. Let's see what the comment is. We'll pick it up real quickly. And someone talks about, Alan Wright talks about some solutions. We're going to talk a little bit more about solutions. Good to see you, my brother. Glad to see that you are on our show. It's always good to see we have some good brothers and sisters and people who are here to listen to what we say. So we're going to talk about some solutions, as we always do, with taking the journey together. So anyway, as we were moving on that other side of the coin, let's talk about, since he brought that up, our side of what some solutions. What are the spiritual solutions that we've been talking about before when it comes to self-love, the spiritual side? That side that has to do with, he must be someone new that just now picked up our show too, because we've been talking about it for the last at least 2 times.
Which is still not bad, because you can always have a refresher, especially when you're trying to learn to love yourself.
And if you're just in a relationship in your everyday living with the person, things change all the time. And it ain't about being the same. So just as you have to learn something new every day on the job, or something new that you got to do every day with other things, you especially are going to have to do that relationship. And you can always go to our Taking the Journey WRUU, with someplace around here, that we also do at 9 o'clock on Saturdays. And you can listen to our programs there. And we are talking about the same thing on our radio station program on 107.5 WRUU. You can see the website address. You can always go back over and hear our past solutions that we talked about last time. And we have archived, of course, many of our other past shows.
But here's the thing that's interesting about the fact that we have this show, and we also have the show on WRUU, where we're talking, the topic is the same, but the information, it's not repeated. Some of it is, but the fact that we do this give and take interchange, the conversation sometimes veer in another direction than what we have here, just because of what certain things are triggered in the conversation or in the discussion.
Okay. High level, thriving relationship. If you feel like you're running out or have run out of ways of connecting with yourself, especially on the coin side that has to do with who you are and inside, the connection that makes you feel good of who you are and your purpose in life. I mean, maybe you might have uncomfortableness of even being in a relationship, or being a husband, or being a boyfriend, or being a father, or being a wife. And you're like, I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm not feeling good about this inside. And we're talking about not just outside of someone trying to buy your love or presenting that to you. We're talking about, in this particular case, when you are not feeling good about loving of yourself in the inside, period, in that relationship, with them or without them. And these are some solutions that we've been talking about, which is the self-care. What are you doing to nurture your connection to yourself or your higher power? power, excuse me, your spirit, the God that you believe. What are you doing to connect to that, which is who you are from the inside anyway, which goes back to that thing that Will Smith brought up, which is you cannot make someone else happy. I love that when I hear that all the time, they use that word make.
Mhm.
It didn't say that happiness can't be shared between two other people,
Right.
that happiness can't help someone else feel better about
Mhm.
themselves. The word that's always used is make.
Yes.
Make. And I think that's where the biggest failure comes when it comes to this whole thing about this self-awareness of love for yourself and the love for someone else in the relationship, is that many times we try to make,
Mhm.
directly force, have direct influence.
Yes.
Having direct influence is okay in a relationship, but if that direct influence is in such a way where that other person is not responding
Mhm.
because they don't really want to, and many times you can find out
Yes.
when they really don't want to, because you can bug them over and over and over again, they're not, or they're taking things for granted, then you got to understand you can't make them.
Right. And sometimes your desire to make them
Mm-hmm.
has to do with what is missing in you. You know,
Exactly. You
you're
lack of your
forced
self-love.
exactly. You're forcing this because you need them to be in a better place for you.
Exactly.
And so it's like a
Repetitive cycle.
exactly.
So one of the solutions we talked about, when one of the things that we do, we like to use nature, because
Mhm.
nature is a very good way to
Yeah.
get away from the stress, get away from other people. And with that nature, you can in turn have an easy way to be reflected or see reflections of your own self. Am I
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And what are one of the things that we do when it comes to nature that helps us out for our own self when it comes to, again, doing those practices that help us understand more about us? What are some of the things we do?
We go to the ocean.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I was going to talk about another, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the ocean, the sound of the ocean
Yes.
and the way it resonates within you.
Mm-hmm.
Closing your eyes, hearing it, feeling the sand under your feet. It has a way of grounding you
Mm-hmm.
such that um, you feel yourself. You can start to feel yourself. You can start to feel that you're out of balance and working to get yourself back in balance.
One of the techniques that she and I do, and I taught her and presented to her, is a breathing technique
Mhm.
when you can actually go to the ocean, because the ocean has a repetitive way with its plain waves to bring on a natural hypnotic way,
Yes.
because the ocean does, okay, to bring you and open you up from the standpoint to hear and listen to your inside.
Mhm.
And so one way that you could do is always stand near the water bank, or what do you call it,
On the shore.
on the shore. If you're scared of water, don't go in. And you could
But you got to get your feet in.
exactly, you could close your eyes. Couples, it's always good to hold your hands, and then with your eyes closed, you take a breathing technique where you're breathing through your nose and you breathe out through the mouth. Try it right now. You're breathing through your nose and then you breathe out of your mouth. You do that about 10 times with your eyes closed. And while you're doing that, concentrate through your ears, concentrate on the sounds that are around you. You'll hear the birds, you'll hear the ocean, and you hear whatever sound that's out there. Get yourself lost into that with your eyes closed, and you'll find a real deep grounded peace that's inside. Am I right?
Exactly. And you just let your mind go,
Mm-hmm.
so that you know all those things. The fact that your job may not be there for you on Monday. The fact that um, you had this argument and it was stupid and you don't know how to say I'm sorry. All those little things. What am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to fix for dinner? All those things, you just let them go. Let them go for a few
and
minutes.
and the way you do to let them go is you take your energy of focus wherever your focus is or is pointed. then that's where your energy of thoughts will go.
Mm-hmm.
So you take your energy of focus, and it is focused on what you hear through your ears, which is why I brought that up. You focus your energy to be connected to your ears. So you pay attention to the surroundings deeply through your ears, and you'll find all of those other thoughts that you talked about,
Right.
they have to take a back seat
Yes.
because you change your focus to what you were listening to through your ears.
Yes.
Now, when we do that, you always okay, you get ready to say something because your hand is up. Yes, teacher.
Because there's
Oh,
one
student, go ahead. No, go ahead.
because there's one thing that I did once, and I don't know why I did it, but it was just something that involuntarily happened.
You burped?
While I did. No. While we were standing there doing that, I took my hand and I placed it over my heart chakra. And that helped me to remember that I need to love me.
Oh, no wonder why you took your hands away from my hand.
Yeah. It's not true.
Oh, that was your other hand.
That
oh,
was
yeah,
my
okay.
other
Your
hand.
other hand.
I do have two
so,
of them.
okay. So that's a good. That's another technique for you that works for you.
Exactly, because that's one of the things that I have an issue with. I have self-doubt, and I have and with that self-doubt, I start telling myself things about how I'm not worthy.
Parasites.
Exactly.
Negative thoughts.
Exactly. And so I have to remind myself that I am loved, that that I can give love, I can receive love. And and I have to do that. And one of the triggers that I have for that, and I do it regularly just because I need to keep myself within that mindset or heart set, is to just put my hand here.
Well, there again, there is that focus, even that physical focus that you are doing that has you block out, not paying attention to. Again, where your focus is, that's where your conscious and your mind and your energy will go, because of the focus that you decide to in turn point to focus on.
Yeah.
So your heart chakra is what you're talking about, on your heart, as people say who don't know what heart chakras are, but at least you said physically, or at the same time, of course, I know you do that listening. What I do want to say out of all that is, if you notice, once it's all done and you get done and you open your eyes, you have such a light-headed feeling. You feel like all the burdens have been lifted off you. And you notice how bright, even in the midnight, how bright and shiny, and it looks like there's a glow or aura of energy that's off things, even off of like you, or when you look at me. You ever notice that?
I do.
It is what I would call a natural high that no drug can actually do when you try that. It really does.
And the colors in the ocean, they're so vivid and so specific. They're different from what you would normally experience if you're just standing there watching the ocean, looking for where the sun is and things of that sort. The colors are so vibrant.
By the way, sometime this summer, we want to stay tuned for those who will be with us. We're going to be having an actual retreat. And part of our retreat is having couples who will actually practice this, or actually do this with us on our retreat. And you will find yourself that when you do that, it will be exactly as we say. It is a real heart-changing, conscious time when you actually do that. It's one of the things we do at our last day on a retreat, just to help bring that couple closer, and at the same time, as you talked about, bring that more awareness of self-love for yourself. So that's one way, as a solution, that one brother asked. Hope he's still on and has not left, and I took this with him when it comes to solutions to help you love yourself more. Here's another one we talked about, which is, it's a very practical one, looking at old videos and pictures we talked about last time. Sometimes we have so many pictures and old videos, we don't even take our time out to look at them to bring back those memories, right?
exactly. You
Yeah.
caught me drinking.
Yeah, well, we don't do that enough. We don't bring that back enough. We have the ability to be able to go back in time while we're still here in the present and go forward while we're still here in the present. So you ought to take those pictures to help you go back in time. Actually, pick up those pictures, look at those pictures, and many of them have them digital right now, and use that as a way of a practice
Yeah.
to bring those memories back. You want to make sure you get the good ones too, the
Yeah,
good
because
pictures,
quite
right?
often those were happy times.
Yes.
Those were times when you were both feeling good about yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and healthy and happy right in that spot.
Exactly. Our time is going so quickly too here.
Yes.
Very, very glad. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. Again, this is taking the journey together. You could get us. We already got up the hot buttons. We'd love to have you pick up the hot button and take it along with you. We're here every Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on ATR Network. We're so proud to see how ATR Network is really taking off. It's really growing. They got such a good alignment. We're going to look at one of these times where hopefully we can pop up, which I didn't do at this time, what the alignment will be on this show. Of the other programs. You got many other great programs that you want to look at. You can also go and get to us on what is it? What's that?
WRUU.
With questions. Well, in this case, we've got a Facebook that you can actually go to,
Facebook.
take on the journey if you want to.
Yes.
Got an Instagram, and we also have a email address where you can send your questions and your concerns to us, or maybe your dislikes, or you maybe want us to talk about something. Maybe you want to be on our show too at the same time. Please go to that. You can see the email coming up right now, ttjt at takingthejourney-together.com. Again, ttjt at takingthejourney-together.com. Again, we're on WRUU. Also, too, in the mornings.
Saturday
mornings.
9 to 10 o'clock.
Yes. You see that right there. You can always find our archives, too, through that particular link, so you can look at our past shows. I think that's very, very important to look at. We have so many topics. We've been doing it on that radio program for 2 years. In fact, we were highlighted on the Savannah Tribune paper yesterday, I think it was, as for the highlighted program on WRUU for Black History Month. We really appreciate WRUU doing that, and for the Savannah Tribune for actually making us one of the highlights for yesterday. Wasn't that pretty cool?
That was.
I think so too.
That was very, very nice. Very nice.
So let's because we're getting near the end of the show. This is going to be our last particular, what is it? Part or a series or whatever you may even call it. Okay.
The end of the series.
It is. Here's once you talk about the other way that we could do practices that help bring memories of self-love for ourselves on the coin that has to do with finding who we are and our connection of feeling good from the inside.
Okay. One of the things that we do is sage.
Okay.
We burn sage sometimes. Which is a calming, it puts a calming feel in the air. I'm trying to get the right words, and it just left me. But it's one of those things that when you do that, and you it just gives you a different feeling, and it calms you, and it puts your inner self in a more peaceful place.
Yeah, and saging and meditation are usually go hand in hand. It's a technique that's used from Africa to Asia and California and places here as a way to be able to focus back on yourself and listen to your inner self. And you usually use what they call a mantra, which is something that's spoken over and over again, like, please remove all the negative energy, vibes, dark spirits, and anything that is not my highest good from my energy field from inside. Or please move the bundles around my body through, the rooms that are not right and uncomfortable with me. So, I mean, these are kind of techniques we hear all the time when it comes to well, some people hear all the time when
Yes.
it comes to this technique of
Saging and
saging and
meditation.
meditate. And maybe
Yes.
you guys have some other ways that you use when it comes to meditation, in your own home, in your own way. But we're talking about all these things that help build self-love through self-care, that spiritual side on the other side of the coin, from you and for you in the inside. And when you do that, you'll find, as Sharon brought up before, our cup will spill over, and you'll find that it will actually spill over and then actually go on to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
which would be your
Yeah.
mate in the relationship.
Exactly. Yes. And there's some other things that I really want to touch on
Well, go
that
ahead. We got a couple more
that
minutes. I
we will
mean,
do.
5 minutes.
And
Go
and
ahead.
these are some things that have really helped me. Thank you very much for
Hmm.
introducing them to me.
What you bringing over?
And
I forgot about the traditional things that people do. Also to a prayer. People use prayer a lot.
yes.
Their traditional way of prayer. It doesn't make of it if you're in a Catholicist church, a conservative church, or you're with a what is the other words?
Bye.
And other spiritual or
Yeah.
religious belief systems. Prayer is always a good way to use, in a traditional way that's used to be able to connect to you and find out your purpose and how you're connected to your higher self, or the God that you believe in. Where all those things, that like that technique, is something that in turn we should take a look at and use it to basically help build our love for ourselves out.
Yes.
And know that that feeling good is based on not just that physical feeling, but based on the feeling from the inside that I get to be more comfortable with who I am as a
Yes.
person, as a being on this earth.
Yes.
Not so much with what I do, but with who I really am.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the things that is really important, when we realize that there's something that is stagnant within us, or something that is keeping us in a place that is not healthy. Another thing that we can do to um,
Hmm.
build self-love is to read.
Read.
Yes, get self-help books. And
Read.
this is one that read.
I'm gonna say
This is one
the
that,
mind is a terrible thing to waste.
and so is the spirit.
Okay, it
And
is.
and in this case, I have been at a place where I was very, very low. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the times that I was very, very low was shortly after
Mm-hmm.
we met. And this book really,
Which I introduced her to.
exactly, brought me through.
Get
You
close
got to
enough.
get it up over. Yes. In the Meantime by Iyanla Van Zandt. This book has made a difference. She will take you through the cleansing process, the process of you, getting all of the parasites and the cobwebs and the everything else
Mm-hmm.
out of your psyche. And she uses the analogy of house cleaning, and the size of the house as the um the levels of where your negativity is.
And I actually read that book out there, fellas, which is why I suggested it to her, and suggested this to other lady friends. But I'll be honest with you, I was kind of like other particular males before that time, which was, ain't no woman can tell me nothing. I lived with a very strong-willed, hard-headed mom all my life with no father around, and I was like, man, I've had enough of that for all those years. Thank God I was lucky enough to be around with her until she actually passed away. The only one in the family that of my siblings who stayed around. It was the book called The Spirit of a Man that she wrote that said everything to do to have triggered and brought her in to her belief system that she has been very good about and teaching. And she said that her teaching that opened her up was from another elder who was a male from some other particular country. I think it was Africa, it could have been. And I said to myself, if any, okay, I'm looking at you, look here anyway. I said, if any woman could actually say that a male taught them something, because my mom, she never gave the perception that ain't no male can tell her nothing. And I couldn't hardly tell her nothing, even though I was taking care of her.
Or anybody else.
Or anybody else, exactly. Then I figured it was worthwhile to listen to her.
Yeah.
I read that book flying back from someplace, and it was so moving, The Spirit of the Man. I actually allowed it to move within my inside, that side that we're talking
Mhm.
about, self care, spiritual side.
Yes.
And I actually practiced one of the things she talked about, and it actually moved and happened for me very strongly
Mhm.
coming back and off the plane.
Yes.
It helped build some love for me as a purpose, as a
Mhm.
man, especially as a black
Yes.
man. It really moved me. And so I couldn't help from there. Let me see some other books she's read. And I looked at her other book, that particular
Mhm.
book you had, and it was very moving to me. So I said, I think this is probably a good book for women to pick up
Yeah.
during their in between times, trying to get from one relationship to another relationship.
Mhm.
And you can give that testimony, even though I read it yourself.
Yeah.
You can give that testimony better than I
Oh,
can.
absolutely. And it's one of those books that it's not one and done. I have read it cover to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I have read bits and pieces of it. I have, gone through the book. I have probably picked it up and gone and started it over again, maybe four, five, six times.
Mm-hmm.
And each time it's because I am moving into another spot. I am growing a little bit more. I get stagnant as in this growth. And that's part of that growth process.
Mm-hmm.
You'll plateau at a certain point, and then you have to jumpstart yourself. And in the meantime is that jumpstart. She has another book called Value in the Valley. And
Yes.
some of that is what that says is when you are at that plateau, or when you are at the place where things are not so good, it's almost like using the Sankofa principle,
Mm-hmm.
where you pick up what has been good. You find the value in where you are, and you use that to help you move forward. So you find that, you're not in that worst possible place just because you're down some. You're not in that worst possible place. There's something good going on. And find that, hang on to that, and let that be the balloon that takes you up out of that
Yeah, we,
place.
we we would look at it as the difference between always trying to operate in a survival relationship,
Hmm.
where we're talking about that you could be in a thriving or a healthy
Yes,
relationship.
exactly.
And that means those who are out there who are in survival relationships, who are probably listening to this right now, I want to say to you, you don't have to stay in that survival relationship.
No.
You can move. I didn't say leave them. I didn't say anything about that, but you can move from that survival relationship and move to a more thriving or healthy relationship. First thing you have to do is remember and understand you cannot make that other person happy. You notice I use the word make, force, try to convince them, try to beg them. You can't do that. That's something they have to learn for themselves to be able to do. But you also have to remember, if you're doing that strongly, you may not be looking at how you're missing out loving your own self.
Because sometimes that surviving relationship that you're in
Mm-hmm.
is because you're in a survival relationship with yourself.
Exactly. So once you get that together, and I don't mean that it's something that you got to get together totally before you move on, because this is an on-the-job training, especially
Yeah.
if you're learning about it now.
And
This is
it's a
on-the-job training, and
and
it's a. Go
it's
ahead.
it's constantly changing,
Yes.
because if
Yes.
you are the same all the time,
Mm-hmm.
something's wrong. So
Exactly.
you may as well face it and look at it.
Exactly. And it's not so much where you started from, it's everything about where you can continue to be
Mhm.
differently at the end of the day. And you should be better at the end of the day than you was before. If not,
Yes.
hey, Les Brown said, just get back up. I love Les Brown. I actually heard him actually speak before.
Mhm.
You can, so did Miles Moreau, by the way,
Yeah.
another tough brother who passed away, by the way, bless his heart. You can always get back up and do it again.
Yeah.
Or Brother Jamal, I'm always giving you credit, even though you don't talk to me much. But anyway, day clean. It's a new day
Yeah.
to start this again, and we do that every day. Say peace and blessings too at the same time. Okay,
Absolutely.
we got to get ready to go. We need to get over to our engineer. I don't know where he's at, but he should be supposed to be about ending our show here. I think he just ran off, didn't he?
I don't know. He's probably still there.
You think he's still there?
I think he's still
How many seconds do we have left?
there.
Oh,
Two.